Hello, and welcome, my friends, to the next video in the Create Better Content series, where I show you how to tap into your creativity to stay consistent with your marketing to reach more customers. My name is Penny, and I want to guide you. I want to take you through this content development process. I want to have these conversations with you guys because I think that marketing is more than just trying to figure out how to create engaging content. It's about finding those moments, those touch points where you're actually able to reach more qualified customers. And if you want to learn more about how all this can help you develop your content marketing plans, I would love it if you would hit that button below and subscribe to this channel. And below in the description box, I love to share the links. There's several links down there. One of them is for the Content Prompt Playbook. This is a free download to help you with ChatGPT. So it's got 20 plug and play prompts to help you actually get that content to speak more like your business and your voice. Another link that you're going to see is for the Marketing Strategy Collective. This is my group program where we get together every single month on a Zoom call. You get a supportive group online space, and you can see what happens with your marketing strategy when you actually experience what it feels like to get some support. You see the links below, you know what to do to learn more. All right, so let's get into today's video, because you know what? We're going to talk a little bit more about AI and how it's going to help you with your marketing, but I want to focus on one specific point when it comes to this, because I think that a lot of business owners are making these mistakes with AI right now, and then they just think it's the tool, but it's not really the tool. It's how you're using it. It's the questions you're asking. It's this whole thing that people are all into. Ooh, developing my own prompts. I just spent half a day working through my prompts. This is what I'm talking about. Because for those of you who are just sitting down, you open up the tool and you immediately type something like, write me an Instagram post, or give me 5 content ideas, write this email about my offer, lay out the social media calendar. You're asking it for generic steps. And so what happens is when you give me content ideas or write me an Instagram post, what's happening is the output feels about as cold and limited as the input was. So you're either left with, okay, this AI stuff is just not working for me, or why is it that everything that comes out sounds like the other person that I just scrolled through on Instagram? Because if the problem isn't the tool, though, and if it's not all of these massive prompts that we're trying to do, what is it that we're doing here? What is the problem? So let's talk about this today, because here's what I've noticed, and I've been working with a lot of business owners now and having some really serious conversations with some folks on LinkedIn about using AI for your marketing. And I've come to understand that the quality of the answers and responses and the information you're getting back, your output, is limited to the quality of the questions that you're asking. And it's not just true just for these AI tools. It's quite honestly something that you should have been doing all along with your marketing, all along for developing your strategy, all along for when we look at our business growth. The questions that you ask determine what you see. So today I want to challenge the way that you're using AI, because I think that what's happening here, and again, I am going back to the conversations that I'm having with the Marketing Strategy Collective members, with the conversations that I'm having with people that I'm connected to on LinkedIn, other business owners. I think what's happening is that people are using it like it's a content machine instead of using AI as a thinking partner. So if we start with this uncomfortable truth that AI is being used like a vending machine, You put your request in, you expect the content to come out, and that's the entire interaction. The relationship looks like, write me an Instagram post. And it says, okay, post, here you go, done. But that's not thinking. That's not strategizing. That's just requesting. That's requesting the vending machine. And while there's times when just, give me these 5 ideas, it's useful. But if you don't take it further, that's why so many people are ending up, I don't know, disappointed is the right word, frustrated, like, especially when you're seeing sentences and phrases over and over again, and you read the same exact thing on somebody else's LinkedIn post, and you're like, wait a minute here. My business is different from that person's business. Why am I getting the same stuff? Well, here's the thing. Because you're asking AI to create something before you've done the work to understand what it is you're trying to create, and even share that with AI. AI functions off of data. The more data that it has, the more it can give you specific answers to your questions. But if you don't know what matters, how does AI know what matters? And if you haven't done the work to explore this content idea, this offer, whatever it is, this something about your customers, how does AI magically uncover this deeper insight? The tool only works with the direction that you give it. And when you just do vending machine request, you get vending machine answers. So there's really 2 different ways that we can look at this. The first is how people are using AI right now, like to generate, here, give me 5 of this, give me 10 of this. But the second, and where I want to talk about, and what I think is more important for how you can use AI to really see some better results from the output that you're getting, is to do what strategic thinkers do and use AI to help you explore. And what I mean by that is this. If we're doing something like generate, write an Instagram post about my coaching program. Now, if we use explore, we would say something like, what concerns would a customer have before investing in this coaching program, and how could I address those concerns honestly? So do you see the difference? One was asking for content about my coaching program. The other was asking for understanding of the customers. And understanding is where I'm going to get better content, because if I explore first and I understand, the content becomes easier to create afterwards. But if you skip this part of asking questions and exploring, you're creating content based upon the assumptions that you're making. And sometimes assumptions are dangerous. What's that expression that we all heard when we were kids growing up about the word assume? If you use assume, you make an ass of you and me. So assumptions can be dangerous. I mean, if we think about it from this place, like, if we just come at it and say, okay, write me a LinkedIn post about why it's consistent. Being consistent with checking your financial reviews every month. So AI writes this post. And then what happens? Quite honestly, not much. Because it's just about a post saying, you know what, you people on business, you really need to do some financial checking every single month. Okay, and how does that help my business? How does that connect somebody to maybe what I'm selling about a product or a service? It doesn't. But now imagine me thinking the same route that I want to take. But instead, I go to the AI tool and I say, now, let's talk about my customers. My customers are intelligent, motivated business owners, but they're struggling with consistently checking their financial statements every single week, every single month. So what should they be doing? What should I tell them that they need to know? See, now, that exploration type prompt, now we're getting somewhere, because that's a question worth exploring. Because now this conversation, this back and forth that you're going to start having with the AI tool is going to talk about your customers' fears. Maybe they have a lack of system and that's why they can't do this and they're not consistent. Maybe they can't create it as a priority because they don't see it as a priority. Maybe they have unrealistic expectations about how much that they should be doing. But these insights become a whole lot stronger for the content of your post, because now you've learned something. You've really dug into who your customers are. You've discovered something that could trigger them to actually take action. You've expanded your understanding, and this is where stronger content starts. So I use this all the time. As a matter of fact, when I start working with AI, especially if it's on a program or an offer or something that I haven't, worked through before, I immediately go to pain points. I immediately start talking about my customers. And so I start asking about that from the place of creating better questions. And if you want better answers, you want to make sure that you're asking the right questions. And I'm telling you right now, when you do these types of conversations, these explorations, even if it's something that you can do for about 15 minutes, the breakthrough that comes through when you realize maybe you were even asking the wrong question. Maybe you weren't even seeing something that you should have been seeing. And that is the exploration part of it. So like maybe you were saying, I don't know, how do I get more website traffic? Instead of that just question, you'd say, what would make my website more relevant to this customer, and what is it that they would be interested in learning more about? What do they want to know? Why would they click on a link to come to my website? How do I get more engagement? See, now you're exploring something different. And this kind of engagement, you could even ask a question. Here's another one. Ooh, it's a really good one. What kind of engagement actually predicts future sales from my website? That's an even better question, because now we're not just talking about, write me a post. We're talking about creating action. We're creating strategy. And AI, AI is excellent at helping you expand these questions that you're asking. And that becomes a totally different conversation, because now you're exploring, you're talking about the objections that somebody could have to this offer, the uncertainty that they might have, trust building, all kinds of decision making, psychology that goes into what gets somebody to actually click on that link. And then the content that comes from that type of exploration, my friends, will always be stronger, because it's rooted in understanding. It's not just a piece of content that you said, I needed to do 10 of these, so you're spitting out 10 in the day. It actually becomes intentional. And when we start using AI right there, just like that, and we think about the way that we're asking questions and we're having this almost conversation with AI to determine whether these are the pain points we should be focusing on, this is what's going to get them to actually engage. Those are the kinds of things that are a difference between putting up a post on LinkedIn that's successful and a post on LinkedIn that gets results. Because I understand it. And two people can use the same exact AI tool and get dramatically different results. Because if you're the person that's using AI like the vending machine, you're gonna get the generic content. Write me an Instagram post, give me 5 video episode titles. But if you're asking the questions and you're doing the exploring, that's when the strategic insights happen. Because the difference isn't the AI tool itself. The difference is the way that you're using it. And that's incredibly empowering to you when you realize it, because it means that you're going to get better results. It doesn't mean you need to upgrade. It doesn't mean you need a different tool. And because you are going to ask better questions. And that is one of the most powerful things that AI can do for you. I'm telling you right now, if you haven't had the chance to get in there and do this, spend some time in there, not just asking AI to write you a post, but start to challenge your assumptions. I think that these are the pain points of my customers. And see what comes back. Because every one of us has a blind spot. And AI is picking up patterns that it's seeing online. And it's seeing things that we're not seeing because we are not scrolling every single web page and all of this information out there. So we make assumptions about our customers and pricing and offers and messaging and how they make their buying decisions. And often we don't realize that we're making them based on our assumptions. So instead of just saying, how do I sell this offer using this Facebook post, you could even dig in deeper, like what assumptions am I making about why people aren't buying? Or, I don't know, what alternative ideas could exist to get these results to happen. See, now what's happening when those questions are used, you're expanding your perspective and you're creating space for new opportunities. And this is the point where unexpected insights start to show up. Because when you're using AI, I want you to start asking more questions with words like why, what if, what might I be overlooking? What assumptions am I making? What patterns do you see? What questions should I be asking? These prompts create discovery. Like, what patterns do you notice across these customer conversations? Or what explains why this content performs better than the rest? What am I constantly overlooking when I'm writing this sales page? What would a skeptical customer think if they saw this offer? See, these are questions, not just write me a post to sell my offer. These are questions that are going to reveal really valuable information, and that information is what's going to help you generate better content. And I get it, because I truly think most of us are still in the early stages of understanding what AI is truly going to be good at. Because yes, we know it can write. Yes, we know it can brainstorm and it can organize information. But one of the most valuable uses is helping us think more deeply about our businesses and our customers and the products and services that we sell. It helps us see the patterns. It helps us explore these ideas. It helps us challenge our own assumptions. And it can even help us write better copy and ask better questions, because your business growth rarely comes because you just made a bunch of assumptions. It often comes because you have been discovering better questions. And that's where the strategic thinking lives. So the next time you get there and you're opening up your AI tool, resist the urge to immediately say, write me a post. Instead, I want you to ask yourself, what am I actually trying to understand? What am I actually trying to sell right now? Because when you shift from generating to exploring, something really interesting starts to happen with your content. It gets stronger. Your marketing gets sharper. It becomes more intentional. And your decisions improve. And AI stops feeling like a content vending machine and starts becoming more like a thinking partner. Because at the end of the day, AI is not about trying to make you smarter. It just reflects how you're thinking about your marketing. And the better your questions become, the more valuable the output and the more stronger your content will become, so that you can actually post something that is going to connect with more customers. So thank you so much for joining me today. If this episode is starting to give you some ideas to learn new skills for your marketing, I would love it if you would hit that like button. And then do me a favor. Hit that share button and share this conversation with another business owner. If you know somebody who has been struggling with AI and could use a conversation like this, do me a favor and hit that share button with some business owners. But if you are ready to take this further and you want to join us inside the Marketing Strategy Collective, we're going to take these ideas and turn this into a content plan that's going to drive sales for you. You've got monthly strategy workbooks. You get the online support to grow your business. So stop working in a solo bubble and work in a collaborative space to help you with your current marketing efforts. You see the link below. You know what to do to learn more. Because you are magnificent, my friend. And let me be the first to say, I'm proud of you. Until next time.